the honesty. I appreciate that 100%. So with that, moving to the next one. So growing up in Seattle, how was it, the atmosphere with the Sonics when they were rolling, making it to the finals with the glove, with Shawn Kemp? We had G on the show earlier. He was telling us his stories about, Seattle, how much he loved it, so on and so forth. But you've grown up there. How is that in that atmosphere?
It was different, man. It really was. Hold on, let me go grab something real quick.
He got tricks in his bag.
That's right. That's my man Nate.
I got some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I got the GP jersey. I'm a fan. Like I'm a for real fan. I'm a fan of the culture. I'm a fan of the essence. I'm a fan of the shit talking that he approached the game with. I'm a fan of him rocking that jersey, looking up at Michael Jordan like what? Like right. I'm a fan of all that. I'm a fan of the urban legends and the myths that I heard growing up about everybody on that team. So you got to think about this young dude that seen these dudes balling on the court. The essence of Seattle was crazy because we had the Mariners. We were more of a NBA team than we were an NFL team. So the Seahawks were respected, but they weren't like the crown jewel of the Emerald City. Mm-hmm. And when like Seattle started balling, you got to think about it. It's always been culture. Like for people who aren't from the West Coast or from Seattle, they think, oh, Seattle, like it must be majority white and it's like not diverse. But the 90's were led by a supersonic team that was a group of African Americans at the driver's seat. So for me, I'm like, yo, it's GP, Shawn Kemp, Nate McMillan, Xavier McDaniel, Deadlift Shrimp, like, you know what I'm saying? And that was a real time for me because it was the first time I realized like the coolest dudes in the world can look just like me. And not just like me, but also act like me and talk like me. So when I got in the league and I route a dude up, and he might be like Charles Woodson or Champ Bailey or Deion Sanders. I'm looking at him like, what, bro? Like, what's up? You say something, I'm coming right back at you. I come from the city of where people talk and back it up. Like that's what I do. So that was a real cool time. I remember like specifically a moment we was in the fourth grade trying to get money for a tournament, AAU tournament, and AAU basketball was always real in Seattle as Pino, and I had to go shoot free throws. The whole team. We had 5 on one side, 5 on the other side. It's halftime of a Sonics game. And I remember being nervous. I'm just like, bro, just hit the rim, Nate. Don't embarrass yourself, bro. This is your moment. Like, I didn't think I was going to be an NBA player or NFL player. I'm like, this is your moment. I'm in the 4th grade, like, being so honest with myself. I'm like, this might be the height of your life, bro. Like, don't blow this. I'm literally, because it's like playing bump. I'm literally thinking to myself, just hit the rim, right? And like, first one, I make it. You know what I'm saying? I come back around, I'm like, damn, I made the first one. And we had like the 24-second clock. Hit the second one. I'm like, this is crazy. Come back around. Boom, boom, right? Boom. I hit all 5. And I'm bugging because I'm the only one to hit 5. I'm like, this is wild. I go and I'm walking to the locker room. I'm just feeling myself. I got my little CAY jersey on. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. And somebody was like, hey, little man. And it was Xavier McDaniel. I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, yo, you got some skills. And I was like, oh, thank you, sir. And I walked off and I was like, yo, this is a moment right here. This is a moment. So like the 90's Sonics, it was different. It was different.
Man, that's awesome. So how'd you feel when you got the opportunity to go back and actually represent Seattle when you played with the Sonics?
I was nervous when I got the opportunity to play with Seattle, bro, because like I went to Minnesota playing with Randy Moss. I put up the 1,000 yards and I was like, yo, this is easy. I get to be an exaggerated version of myself. Like every athlete knows, you just create a character. Like you're not who you are when you got in the league, because who you were was a humble kid just trying to make it. You create this exaggerated version of who you really are. And it was easy to do that in Minnesota because nobody knew me. And then when I got to Seattle, I was so nervous, man. So much anxiety. Because I remember my first game, I was like, yo, this is crazy. I feel like my third grade teacher might be out there. My fourth grade girlfriend might be out there. The bully that picked on me in the fourth. Like, I'm just like making up all of these like things in my head. And I was stressed. So it took a year for me to get comfortable. And then once I got comfortable, like I felt like I owned the city. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like I was him. I felt like I was the Sonics in the 90s, to keep it a buck with you, bro. Like I was scoring touchdowns, you know what I'm saying, leading the league in certain categories, had money in my pocket, the family's good, and took care of my moms. My brothers got money in their pocket. I got jewelry on. Like, you live in an athlete dream, right?
Right.
Now, at 39, I wish I could talk to like that 24-year-old and I'm like, hey, yo, the jewelry's cool. Like, you can get that. Like, you good. The parties is cool. Like, the glam, all that's fine. The rock star, like, that's cool. But like, put 10 toes down in the city, establish yourself a little bit differently. Like, let's go after this corporate money. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could be 35 with buildings downtown instead of, 35 with $20,000 wasted in the clubs over a course of 4 or 5 years. So, it was an epic moment. I'm blessed enough to come out of that and I could say, like, I've made that money plus I'm doing other things. But like, now I'm in a position where I'm like, all right, yo, for you dudes that are ball players, like playing in cities that you're from, it's a different type of blessing. And it can be a curse, but it's a different type of blessing. So if you navigate that carefully, you could come out on the other end, like not just to like a city legend, because people are like, yo, Nate's a legend from the town. But like, it's one thing to be like a city legend and another thing to be like a city fixture. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you, how was it making that transition from being a NFL wide receiver to a super TV personality now? How was that adjustment going from playing football to in front of the camera, doing what you do? And congratulations on all the things you got going on. So I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Fab. Now I feel like when it comes to, how I transitioned out of football into TV, it was like transitioning from college to the NFL, because I was a rookie and I had my ears open more than I talked. One of my favorite scenes in the movie ever was Denzel when he pulled over on the car in training day and he was talking to Ethan Hawke and he said, keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. You might learn a thing or two. I'm gonna teach you something. And like, I always thought like that's the first thing you should do when you enter uncharted territories. The NFL for me was uncharted. I've never been a millionaire before. I've never been a ball player at that level before. When I got to TV, it was uncharted territories. So what did I do? I just paid attention. I watched. I observed. All right, who's cooking in this industry? What makes them good? Is it their personality or is it what they're saying? Is it because they're articulate or is it because they're black? Is it because they dress loud or is it because people want them to be loud? Now you start to pick and choose what applies to you. So when I got in the league, I'm like, okay, I'm playing with Randy Moss. I can learn from him every day. I see T.O. in San Francisco. He's doing his thing. I see these other slot receivers getting busy. I see Marvin Harrison with Indianapolis. Okay, all right. I can start building Nate Burleson. The same thing happened in TV. Like I was like, all right, I see Deion Sanders. Deion got that. Well, if you look good, you play good, and play good, you get prime time. And I was like, let me add a little bit of that sauce to my recipe. And I saw, Michael Leary's like, well, listen, we got it because when it good, when it happened because it happened. And I'm like, all right, I got that. All right, let me. And then you see people like, Marshall Faulk, who's like, he's articulate. And he's like, well, listen, if you allow me to pontificate on the point, then I'll tell you how the precipitation of the weather can come down and actually have the inclement perception. I'm like, all right. So I see what people are doing and what makes them special, but what makes me special? So after trying to play chameleon for a year or two, I really figured out my wave. Like my wave is like this individual West Coast kid that's not shy about how he was raised, that's not shy about the dark places in his past. It's not afraid to talk about the very corporate side of him versus the very hood side of him. a guy that's willing to allow people to see the culture in him and not shy away from some of these hard topics that I feel like people of color tend to do. Not so much anymore, but did when I first came in the game. So it took me a while to transition from being a ball player who's talking about football to being Nate Burleson, who can talk about everything.